I think prophecy is deliberately cryptic to a large extent. Example and premise. The substitutionary death and atonement of the Messiah, King of Israel, and its purpose, I suggest, was deliberately obscured in the Old Testament. You say, well, wait a minute. What about like Isaiah 53 and all that kind of stuff? We'll get there in a second. But I want you to think about the disciples. Do they really get this? In other words, when they have these conversations with Jesus about, well, like, Jesus will say, well, the Son of Man has come to seek and save that which is lost. The Son of Man must go up to Jerusalem and die. And they're like, what? Like, really? Don't say that. You notice that Jesus doesn't say, oh, come on, you idiots. Didn't you read chapter and verse over here? Don't you get that? If it was there, they could have read it. He could have quoted it. But there's something going on here that isn't quite clear. And Jesus has to tell them. He has to sort of unlock what's going on. He has to make the connections for them. Paul calls the whole plan of salvation a mystery. Well, if you could just go look it up, what's mysterious? Paul was right. It was a mystery. Paul was pretty smart too. He knew his Old Testament pretty well. If he couldn't figure it out, we probably couldn't either. And the disciples, we need to cut them a break. Okay? There's no Old Testament prophecy that actually puts these things together. Substitutionary death. Okay, Isaiah 53. Do you realize, that's probably your best bet to getting the idea of a Messiah dying. But do you realize that the word Messiah never shows up in Isaiah 53? There are only 2 passages in the entire Old Testament where Mashiach is used of a future eschatological figure at all. Everywhere else, it's like the living David. He's called the anointed because he's the king, or something else is anointed. It's Mashiach. It's the same verb. The 2 are Psalm 2:2 and Psalm 89. Again, Psalm 2:2 gets quoted in Acts 4, Revelation 19, and there's an allusion to Psalm 89 here in 1 Peter 4. But there isn't a whole lot. And let's take Moses. Let's assume he's the author of Genesis 3:15, which, by the way, doesn't actually mention a death. The seed of the woman. All it says is that, hey, someday, Eve, you're going to have like a baby, or some human being's going to come from your line, and he's going to fix this problem. Doesn't talk about death, doesn't talk about blood, doesn't talk about any of that. Isaiah wrote in the 8th century. Okay, if you take the 8th century figure as writing Isaiah 53, it's the 8th century. If you do the 2 Isaiah thing, it's 100 years later. That's the 700s BC. Moses would have died around 1400 using round numbers. That means for 700 years, the Israelites went without the information that a messianic figure, and of course, by the way, Mashiach's not even in Isaiah 53, but they went without the idea of a messianic figure having to die. You don't get it for 700 more years. In other words, that's 3 times the time that the United States has been a country. Okay, it's a long time. So, why? What's going on? Here are the references to Mashiach. You get the slides, you can see these, again, where the term occurs. I was hoping to have my computer here, I could run these searches on the fly, but we can't have everything. Here's what I think's going on. 1 Corinthians 2, Paul says, "Yet among the mature, we do impart wisdom, although it is not a wisdom of this age or of the rulers of this age." It's not their wisdom, who are doomed to pass away, but we impart a secret and hidden wisdom of God, which God decreed before the ages for our glory. None of the rulers of this age understood this, because if they had, they would never have crucified the Lord of glory. They didn't know. Now, rulers here is a word I have here in red for 2 reasons, because the word is the same in both places. Here's the first one, where have I got up here? I can't see the color here. Oh, over there. Rulers. rulers. Archon is the lemma. Down here, same thing. Archon, same word, same lemma. It is related to arche, and if you look at Archon in Ephesians 2:2 and arche in these references, they are non-human entities. They're the cosmic bad guys. What I'm suggesting to you is God deliberately didn't give the plan in the Old Testament because the cosmic enemies that he knew would be around would have figured it out and ruined it.